I am here with Impa Kasanganay, the 2023 PFL light heavyweight champion, and obviously his new season starts April 12th in Las Vegas. We're gonna get going with this one. Obviously, a big fight. And Impa, I just want you to clarify something for me. This was originally the co-main event. Did I hear last night on the broadcast for PFL 1 that this is the main event? Has it been changed?
I heard that too. I wasn't I wasn't notified. Regardless, I'm like, hey, God's got a plan. I'm gonna show up and fight. Whether I'm the first fight of the night or last fight of the night, I'm gonna still dominate. I was like, I heard that too. Now, but guess we'll see. I was like, when I heard, I think Sean O'Connell said, I was like, who? Uh, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the
Hey,
plan is. I mean,
if it
I don't know.
happens, great. Congrats on the upgrade, I guess. If not, co-main event, not bad either. It's a big fight either way. And you're coming off a big fight too. And I want to start with kind of the reset that you now have. Do you look at this as going back to zero basically because you start the season and everybody's starting with 0 points, or do you still look at this as I'm the defending champ, I've maybe got a target on my back?
Mm-mm. I've always put the target on my own back. Best way to say it, I've before I had the written out title, before I had the physical belt in my hand, I've always seen myself as a champion before I even stepped on the mat in a gym. That's why that's a big part of the reason I got into this. Not the only reason I got into this, but a major reason. It's like I'm not doing this just to be another fighter, just to be another guy, be a world champion. And no matter what I went through, and we talk about the Buckley fight, Carlson Harrison fight, questionable decisions, right? Like they never were things that I let validate me because I knew it was all on the path to becoming the champion that I've seen myself to be. And every little adjustment I need to make, every little um, quirky thing I need to do for myself, I saw that. So every single see, getting one title isn't enough, isn't the only goal, isn't the only standard. Like I have so much more work to do. I'm excited about that. So for me, it was never okay, get this title, chill, kick back, get the $1 million, you relax. No, it's like, how can you help? How can you be better? How can you raise those up around you? How can you challenge yourself to be better? What new battles can you take on? This is the warrior's greatest reward is the next battle. So I always looked at it like I'm grateful, but that's behind me, right? And it's like you take on the land. Like if you took it way back in the day, whatever 2023 was, whatever part of land I went to go conquer, I did that. And I got to that mountaintop and I realized there are many more to conquer. And, it's like to be more than a conqueror, like honor God and do my job. That's my focus. So to say, I am the champion 2024, I believe it, I claim it, I receive it, I'm going to go do it this season, right? Dominate everybody along the way. I don't see it as like, oh, I'm here to defend. I already said this is my land. You can't take it from me. Now I'm gonna go take what's ahead. And that's the focus I have.
This might be a hard question to answer then, but kind of going from that, when you talk about, challenging yourself and there being more mountaintops to ascend, will you ever truly be satisfied? Is there ever a point where you're going to be like, yeah, I've done enough. I'm happy with my legacy.
I'm always content. Satisfied, no, because I always know there could be more to do. I think satisfied builds complacent. Satisfaction builds complacency, and I don't want that. Like for me, it's like the day that I'm dead and go to heaven, I'll be like, okay, like I know I've done all that I've done, and I guess I won't know necessarily when I die unless I'm dying slow and painful, which is hope not, but that's God's plan, right? But I look at it like the day that I'm in heaven, I'm looking at God, and He said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Like I know I've done my thing because my goal is to be successful, wildly successful in and outside the cage, right? So there's so much more to accomplish, and it all goes hand in hand. So to say that I'm satisfied, I would think would bleed over into another area. Like mindsets are contagious. I was talking with Robbie Lawler about that this morning, Herbert Burns, and I refuse to have a contagious mindset of me being satisfied or thinking I just did all that I could have done. No, so I don't want to live in that satisfied place. I would love the people around me to be comfortable. I love my future family to be in a great position. Um, Maybe, based on the work that we've done together and the work that I get to do in the cage and outside of it. But I always be grateful, always be content with what God's given me and what I'm able to claim. But I'll never just be satisfied.
Love it. Now, I'm going to assume you weren't entirely satisfied with the Eblen fight because obviously it didn't go your way. I don't know if this makes it any easier, but it was called the best fight of the night on that Bellator versus PFL card.
Mm.
But what were your takeaways from that performance?
The takeaways from that performance are, I respect Johnny, solid fighter. Well, I know I won the fight. If we put a fight down, right? Like, I respect like the judge's decision. I respect the sport, but comes down to fighting. I won that. I'm not gonna. I didn't have to argue it. After the fight, I took it back. I took like a very much more outside look to it and saying, how do how they judge it, how all these different things. But I've had many people within the organization, outside of it, around the world, say I won the fight, and others will disagree too, right? But that's not where I seek my validation from. I seek it from God and the people I come back home to. I think that when my family looks at me and the people I love and they're proud of how I carry myself. That's important to me. Whatever the judges have to say on a split decision, whatever the judges have to say on something, I look at the damage, I look at the dominance of the fight, and I see where they say Johnny got the nod, right? And I just look forward to the next battle. I look forward to have the next rematch, whatever they call rematch, the next battle. And I look forward to the next one after that. I really respect him. I think he's an awesome fighter. I think he's done really well and he's earned his way. I believe that if he's considered one of the best fighters in the world at this time, that makes him one of the best fighters in history. Right after the fight, and even till today, right, I never sat there and argued it. I just state the truth. I won, and I get a lot of those messages and feedback from people who are looking at it even unbiasedly. And I say, okay, well, it's a inspiration is created due to the fact that that's one of the best fighters out there. I did what I did, and I know I can be that much better. I'm encouraged to go forward, into the next battles and saying, okay, like there's so much more in me. And I'm grateful for that moment. I'm grateful that the fact that I took the fight, I had an option not to, right? I had so many reasons that I could have said not to take the fight. Like I am who I am, and I know whose I am. And that for me was one of those fights where I'm like, okay, like we're leveling up here. I started training when I was 24 years old. I got my first world title at 29, and I recently turned 30 in January. And with that same attitude, that same drive, that same mindset to say, hey, I'm gonna fight whoever, whenever, wherever, regardless. I'm gonna be ready and prepared, right? No matter what the odds say. Look where we are today, and I'm filled with gratitude from that fight.
Wow, fantastic fight. Like I said, you talk about, all the reasons to not take it. I'm just curious if one of them was the timing because that card came together relatively quickly, and now you have this extra fight kind of between the 2023 season and the 2024 season. I mean, was that a concern for you going in?
It wasn't a concern for me. Some people might have not liked it, like it just based on the timing, understanding when it would have been. But I ride with who I ride with, and I'm very grateful that my team and the trainers who went out there with me, like we went and got we did what we needed to do. Like I mean, there's so much more I could have done. I definitely did make errors in that fight that Johnny capitalized on. He is a good fighter, very good, and I think that he helped force those errors. So I look at it like the fact that I got to share that moment with them and my family is a blessing. Yeah, I mean, I guess some would say it's a quick turnaround, right? But I think that always depends on the fighter, right? And that's the fighter's choice. The fighter's going to go decide what's a quick turnaround for them. Some people try to see you through how they see themselves. If they're a fighter, if they're just a coach, or if they're just a person that never fought and they're going to do it themselves. But I see how I see me, and I didn't have any concerns. I didn't have any regrets on me taking the fight, and I'm very, very, very happy that I did.
Well, now it's on to the next one. Obviously, a new opponent to focus on, a new season. Alex Easy Polizzi. The nickname rhymes, but realistically, he's not an easy fight. Just give me your thoughts on the matchup here.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, you say it's not an easy fight, and those are the fights that you won. I'm honored, right? That's the fight that I have for the first fight of the season. I know people who train with them, they respect them. For me, I'm gonna go in there and dominate. Focus, go claim that victory, that first round finish, move forward, and show that I know who I am, and that there's a lot of growth between the end of 2023 season, going into the Johnny fight, after that, and going into this one. Uh, I'm dialed in.
Well, that's great to hear. And I'm going to ask you one more before I let you go. We're seeing it in this particular matchup, but Polizzi is a Bellator guy. We've seen this flood of talent come into the season this year, and obviously there's also the return of a couple familiar faces. Rob Wilkinson is back. Antonio Carlos Jr., Shoeface, is back as well. So just give me your thoughts on all the new names, the returning names, and is this the deepest 205-pound division that the PFL has fielded to date?
So in reverse order to answer your question, yeah. So the number one, I said the deepest PFL 205 division that fielded to date. This is the best PFL two. This is the best 205 division in the world currently and across the board. All organizations. It's a organization and a division filled with champions. Rob Wilkinson, Shoeface, Sadabu, Phil Davis was in it. See what happens if he's back. Uh, Excellent fighters, guys from other promotions have crossed over. New talent from Bellator, Polizzi, and others. I'm looking forward to it. And I think that's where you're going to see, well, if you want to get to the mountaintop, you got to take the toughest side of the mountain and to be the champion, right? And that's what it's about. So I love it. And man, it's like a rising tide raises all ships. So stay tuned for the PFL 205 division because that's going to be some TV worth watching.
Wow, it's going to be worth watching. April 12th, Las Vegas, PFL 2. Yourself, Alex Polizzi, Impa, thanks very much for the time today. Best of luck in the fight. Looking forward to it.
God bless you. Thanks for having me on.
Always have a great one.